and welcome to my channel. My name is Mila. I'm Ukrainian, live in Ukraine, and in addition to this English-speaking channel, I also have German and Ukrainian-speaking channels on YouTube. My foreign language journey started relatively recently. 4.5 years ago. Of course, I studied foreign languages in school and then in other educational institutions, but it was hard to call it real learning. In this video, I will share my experience, secrets, methods of how I learned to speak German and English fluently on my own, having very little communication practice with other people. The first foreign language I seriously started learning was German. I started learning it at the age of 23. Now I am 27. When I had a goal to study music in Germany because I'm a professional musician. I found a tutor for myself and we studied 3 times per week. It was summer, I had a lot of free time and motivation, so I devoted really much time to learning German. It was about 4 hours of self-study per day. I wrote down and learned many words, did many grammar exercises, learned and told texts for each lesson, and I did it quite well and confidently. But what's the catch? As soon as my tutor started speaking German with me, asking unplanned questions, I got lost. It was extremely difficult for me to answer. My tutor devoted only about 5 minutes of the lesson to this, and for me, they were the scariest 5 minutes. 2 months of active learning German passed. I understood grammar well, told the learned text well, but I absolutely couldn't speak German spontaneously or have a simple conversation. Then I started studying at a music academy and working in a philharmonic, and I had much less time for German, and the passion for learning it disappeared. Maybe because I still couldn't speak it. Although I still devoted about 10-15 minutes to German every day. March 2020, the pandemic started. I lost my job and my studying shifted online, leaving me with a lot of time to resume active learning German. I started repeating everything on my own. I learned many words and texts, but then I realized that I couldn't learn German effectively without external help. My friend recommended her German tutor to me, and here came the first try lesson. I felt confident before the lesson because I knew so many German words and learned so many German texts. The tutor immediately started speaking German with me, and I was in trouble. It was difficult for me to put 2 words together, and the tutor corrected me a lot. I was completely disappointed myself. However, I hoped that by speaking only German during the lessons, I would be able to speak it fluently. We had only 1 lesson per week and we spoke only German. It was very difficult for me, but I tried my best. Nevertheless, the progress was very small and I was uncomfortable speaking German during the lesson because the tutor interrupted me at every step and corrected me. I immediately lost my train of thought and I became afraid of making mistakes because I was stopped and distracted after each mistake. At that time, I didn't realize that this was a very poor teaching method. During that period, I started writing my texts in German and my tutor corrected them. It turned out to be a great way to practice grammar and use vocabulary, but I only wrote them and actually I couldn't tell them. Only later I realized that I needed to memorize them and just tell them to myself. I devoted about 20 minutes a day to this. But it was not enough. Speaking German became a little easier for me, but it was still not enough. I realized that I needed something radical. I had to speak German fluently. I'm an introvert, and actually I don't like unnecessary communication with people, especially when you use them only to improve your foreign language speaking skills. So I didn't consider finding German-speaking interlocutors on the internet. And then the idea came to me to start journaling in German. So, every evening I wrote about how my day went, some of my thoughts. I used simple vocabulary, simple sentences without any frills. Of course, I looked up some words in the translator, checked their spelling and grammar forms. And I noticed that speaking German, composing grammatically correct sentences in my head became gradually easier for me. I did it faster and faster. Because in my journal, I repeated many sentences, phrases that I often used in my speech. Here you can see my journal. This is a clean copy. I always rewrote everything the day after. So I repeated the material again. Look how much I wrote. Wow! I started journaling on July 11th and finished on December 5th, with only a 1-month break. So, for 4 months, I sat down at the table almost every evening and wrote about my day in German. It took me about 30-40 minutes a day, plus about 15 minutes for the writing. And this is a notebook with my texts, more on specific topics. Here you can see I corrected mistakes with a pencil which my tutor pointed out. I made some mistakes in my journal, but they were not very significant. I was pretty good in grammar. Actually, we have to make mistakes. We need to learn from them. It's impossible to speak or write correctly immediately. Every day you learn something new, correct yourself, and gradually become better. Control is necessary. If you doubt something, you need to check it. But this is done in your homework and in a lesson with your teacher. He or she points out your constant mistakes and weaknesses. And when we communicate in a foreign language in real life with other people, we relax and just try to convey information. Parallel to journaling, I started retelling other people's text out loud, not memorizing, but retelling. I read several paragraphs, wrote down and learned some new words, and then I retold what I had read as best I could. After that, I read the same passage again and retold it again. It was difficult, but the benefit of this exercise was amazing. However, the greatest benefit for speaking German was brought for me by one method that I developed, and I'm proud of it, when I was preparing for my B1 level German exam at the Goethe Institute. In those 2 months, due to certain circumstances, I didn't work with my tutor at all. I'll tell you about this method step by step. Step 1. I chose a topic. For example, do children need a phone? I turned on the recorder and talked on this topic for 3-4 minutes. I had a plan for each story. Introduction, my experience, the situation in my country, advantages and disadvantages, my opinion. Step 2. I listened to my recording. It was painful to listen to my stuttering, silly mistakes, but I analyzed everything and retold it again, trying not to make the same mistakes. Step 3. I wrote a text on the same topic with the same plan. I wrote simply but with the help of a translator to add new interesting vocabulary. By the way, here they are. I wrote 21 such texts, and each text is approximately 2 pages long. Step 4. The next day, I learned this written text and told it out loud again. During that period, I no longer wrote about my day. I immediately told it out loud. After 4 months of journaling, it was easy for me. The day of the B1 level exam, the last part, speaking, and I passed it. Brilliantly! I got 98 points out of a maximum of 100, and for writing, by the way, I got 100. My speaking partner at the exam was in shock. Later, she asked me how I learned to speak German so fluently. After the exam, I had a lesson with my German tutor, whom I hadn't seen for 2 months, and she was also shocked by my German speaking skills. She even said there was no point in continuing our lessons. Well, because in a few weeks I was going to fly to Germany and I could practice my German there, and I already had the knowledge and skill for that. From the first days of staying in Germany, I had absolutely no language barrier. But of course, I continued to improve my German in homework. And by the way, for more than 2 years, I have been working as a German tutor, and I love my job very much. When I later learned English, I used similar methods to improve my speaking skills as I did with German. The result came much faster because learning a second foreign language is easier when you speak the first one fluently. The conclusion I drew for myself is that developing speaking skills in a foreign language requires very serious attention from the very beginning of language learning, dedicating a lot of time to this in homework, especially when there is little practice with other people. Reading, watching movies or educational videos, doing grammar exercises, memorizing words will not help you speak fluently. Only through active, spontaneous speaking, when we express our own thoughts, we can learn to speak a foreign language fluently. In this video, I didn't tell you all of my methods for developing speaking skills alone, but if you are interested, write to me, I'll make another video. Thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to give a thumbs up if you like this video and subscribe to my channel. I also have German and Ukrainian speaking channels, links are in the description. And write your experience of learning foreign languages. I will see you in my next video. Ciao!